Welcome back to Planet Vero Radio on Waxy 107.9 FM, 1370 AM, and Real Radio 101.7 FM. Today I have a special guest on the phone. Her name is Jessica Rofé, and she's with a class act in New York to tell us about the exciting training they offer to young people in the area of theater and so much more. Jessica, I want you to give us a quick overview, and thank you for joining me today.
Sure, thank you so much. So A Class Act New York is an award-winning acting studio for kids and teens, and we're based out of Manhattan. However, we do travel to other cities and states and offer workshops. For instance, last weekend we did a workshop with one of the kids who won the Tony Award for playing Matilda on Broadway down in Coral Springs, Florida.
Wow,
so,
that's exciting.
Yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. And of course, our year-long programs happen in Manhattan mostly. And we work only with Broadway stars, top casting directors, agents, managers, television directors, people who are in the industry working today.
And what great mentors for these young people up and coming to be able to get to know the real folks that are making it happen on Broadway.
Absolutely. It's a thrilling thing for the kids to be able to train with these people who are, consummate professionals. They get the best training. They learn from people who know what's happening in the industry today, not, 30 years ago, because the industry is always evolving and changing. So it's important that the people be current. Mm-hmm. So the kids really love the experience of working with these wonderful Broadway stars and, casting directors and agents. Indeed, they do.
Well, Broadway is really in my blood. I lived on East 72nd Street when I was growing up, and my mother and our favorite thing to do was to go to see Broadway shows. And I can tell you there has been a big change in the way those shows are staged. I mean, the technical aspect of it, the quality of the performances, the number of children that have major roles on Broadway is just really incredible. And I love seeing
really
those talented
writing,
kids.
Yeah, they're really writing for children now. I mean, we've got shows like Matilda and School of Rock and, The King and I, even a classic. But so many of these shows are family-friendly shows, so I guess the producers are smart in that they realize they can get a big audience if they have kids in the show. Mm-hmm. So it's rather clever, but the shows are also really well done. Matilda I've seen it 3 times. I have a bunch of kids on Broadway right now in the show, as well as on the national tour. And it's a well-written show, and it's well-crafted, and, technically it's just beautiful. So it's a great show.
It's a wonderful show. I saw it on Broadway, and I was so impressed. And I know that a lot of the girls that play Matilda, and they usually have several because it's such a demanding role that they don't do 8 shows or 9 shows a week.
Right.
Each
they
one.
They started off with 4, and now I believe they've gone up from that number, but they started with 4. And, those kids, they really do have a lot riding on their shoulders. They've got a major Broadway production that's riding on them. And, they're 8, 9, 10 years old. So it's quite the responsibility for a child, but it's amazing what these kids can do.
Mm-hmm. And then School of Rock, I mean, that show required kids that are not only skilled singers and dancers, but also musicians.
Yes, exactly. So they really were looking, I have right now about 2 or 3 students in the show and one who's going to be coming into the show in the next round. But most of the kids that they cast were not actors previously. They really were musicians who could, carry a tune, who had personality. So that's what they're really looking for with that show. You don't have to be a trained actor, singer, or dancer to find yourself on Broadway in School of Rock or on the national tour for that matter.
Isn't that fun for rural America to know that those opportunities exist? That's exciting. Now, A Class Act New York goes beyond. I mean, we've talked a lot about the Broadway opportunities, but you also connect with Los Angeles producers and television shows. Tell us a little bit about the exposure that you offer your students in those areas.
So what we do is we bring Los Angeles guests to New York, since I know it's very costly and, not very practical to be able to fly your family to LA to take a workshop with the top Los Angeles casting director, agent, or television director, like a Disney and Nick director. So we bring them to New York, and the kids get, top of the line training with these industry professionals who are always looking for the needle in the haystack. So, some of our kids have gotten calls by these agents and casting directors because they showed interest in them. They thought they were really talented, and, they're looking for talent, and they don't care where it's from. They just want talent. So, one of the agents that we work for is a man by the name of Mitchell Gossett. He's the head of CFC's Youth Talent Department in LA and in New York. He's a senior VP of the company. He discovered actors like Jennifer Lawrence and Darren Criss and lots of people, Selena Gomez, Miley Cyrus, although I always tell the kids, we don't necessarily want to grow up to be her, but he's discovered so many talented kids who have huge careers now. And we bring him to New York to teach the kids. He does a wonderful monologue masterclass. People come actually from all over the country, and even in the summer from all over the world, to attend our workshops and our camps because of the talent that we bring in. So, Mitchell comes to New York. He teaches a great monologue workshop. He was a manager. He was an actor himself. So these people who usually work in the industry were at one time actors themselves. So they also make for great instructors.
And you mentioned that it doesn't really matter where the kids are from. I know that, actually, if you're going to be working on Broadway, it probably makes sense to live someplace in the Northeast corridor there. But for these other programs, they're willing to look at talent from anywhere.
From anywhere. And even with Broadway shows, in fact, we had a boy who just taught a Finding Neverland workshop this past December, and he's from Florida. And, of course, he was able to be seen at an open call, and obviously his family had to have the resources to get him to and from that audition. And he booked the job, and they moved up to New York temporarily while he was on Broadway in the show. I think he's back down in Florida now. But these kids do come from all over. They're just looking for talent. They don't care where it resides.
Well, that's interesting and fun. So now you mentioned that you came to Coral Springs recently. How often do you do those remote classes for people? And are there other areas you go to, or do you focus primarily on Florida?
Sure. No, we go to other states as well. We regularly are in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Dallas, Texas. You name it, we'll go. Upstate New York, Long Island, that's very local for us. We've been to Connecticut. We've been to Florida. On another occasion, we did a Wicked workshop in the Palm Beach Gardens area. So we are willing to travel, and we've been all over. And we continue to go. We're going to Vermont with a Hamilton workshop on May 1st. So we'll be in Vermont. And there's talk of even going to Canada. So we're willing to travel as long as there's the interest. We're going to bring the program straight to you, so you don't have to fly to New York.
Well, there are worse things than flying to New York.
Absolutely.
Actually, it's much more accessible than a lot of people could imagine. There are some great hotels that are surprisingly affordable right there in that corridor where all the creative energy exists near Pearl Studios and Ripley Greer, where usually your training occurs. Am I right? You
are absolutely right. That is where we rent our studio space. In Manhattan, very conveniently located, right near Penn Station, right near, the Lincoln Tunnel, but also near the Broadway, district. And so you can go see a show after you take a class.
Well, it's wonderful because we now have direct flights right from Vero Beach to the Newark airport. And for people that aren't aware of it, flying to Newark is really the best way to get to Manhattan because you can hop on a train to Penn Station and you don't have to worry about traffic or other things that might slow you down.
Oh, that's good to know. I didn't even know that myself. That's great. Yeah, so it's very accessible to a large amount of people because it's so centrally located and easy for people to get there. But of course, we love to fly to new locations, so you don't have to even go through the hassle of, coming and spending the money. But it is fun to come to New York for a theater weekend. Nobody can deny that.
Well, that's way cool. Now, you have some special workshops and showcases. You have a kids' cabaret. You have all sorts of events pending here in the near future. Plus, you should probably touch on your summer program so that our listeners, might want to consider that for their talented children. Give us a little rundown of what's coming up and how they can find you on the web.
Sure. So, in terms of our summer programs, we have programs that start for kids as young as 5 years old All of our programs are taught by Broadway performers and on-camera actors who work in the field today. They're 1 week long programs, and you can take multiple programs throughout the summer because we never repeat the same material twice. Some programs are meant for the all skill level child. So we break them up by age, 7 to 11, 12 and up, 5 and 6 are in a room together. And these kids can either take an all skill levels program, and then we have more advanced summer programs that do require an audition. So that information can be found on our website on the various camp pages that we have.
Mm-hmm. And what is the website?
Sure, it's www.aclassactnewyork.com, aclassactny.com.
Okay, we got it.
And then we also, in terms of our cabarets, we have a cabaret that's coming up at, the historic Triad Theater in New York, where kids will be singing. It's called When I Grow Up. So they get to sing songs that are not really appropriate for them today. So it wouldn't be a song from Matilda or from The Lion King, but it would be something that they want to play, like Fantine from Les Mis or Eponine from Les Mis, that they're a little too young to play right now, but they get to live out their dream and sing their favorite song.
That'll be fun.
So fun, and it's being directed by a wonderful Broadway star. She was Lauren Coco Cohn. She was in Mamma Mia. She was one of the stars of that show, and a wonderful music director who worked on Once the Musical on Broadway. And we do off-Broadway productions as well, like Beauty and the Beast is our next big off-Broadway production. The one-day workshops are great because you could just come up for a weekend and take a one-day workshop. And the summer programs are something that, people come from all over the world. They're really quite memorable, I have to say. The kids work with a whole bunch of Broadway actors throughout the week. They see a Broadway show. They have a talk back with actors after the show, and they perform in an off-Broadway theater at the end of the week for family and friends. So it's really jam-packed and super educational and a lot of fun.
Well, it sounds like a Class Act New York has a lot of offerings for young aspiring actors, singers, musicians. I encourage you to visit their website, and I thank Jessica Rofé for being our guest today.
Thank you. And you guys should check out, Florida people should check out the Agent and Manager Showcase information. If you're looking for representation, our big showcase is in May, and it is by audition only, but it's the opportunity to be seen by over 20 agents and managers in one evening.
That sounds great.
It's a great opportunity. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Stick with us. We'll be right back on Planet Vero Radio.